Every week, most households throw away the raw materials for a dozen garden projects. Glass bottles that could become border edging or cloches. Tin cans that could become lanterns or planters. Old timber that could become raised beds or benches. Cardboard that could become the most effective weed suppressant available. Fabric that could become a living wall. Pallets that could become a compost bin, a herb wall, or a seating structure. All of it goes into the bin. All of it goes to landfill. And the same person who threw it away drives to a garden center the following weekend and spends $40 on things they already had. Today that stops. 12 genius DIY garden projects using nothing but recycled materials. Everyone made from what most people discard without a second thought. Everyone producing a result that looks considered, intentional, and genuinely beautiful in a real garden. Stay to Project 12, because that one transforms a material that every household produces in abundance every single week, and produces the most extraordinary garden feature of everything on this list. Let's go. Welcome back to Daily Garden Fix, where the best garden materials are the ones already in your possession. Before Project 1, drop a comment right now and tell me the most creative thing you have ever recycled into a garden project. A container, a structure, a tool, anything. I read every comment on this channel, and I replied to everyone. Because some of the most genuinely inventive ideas I have ever seen in a garden came from someone in this community who found a use for something everyone else was throwing away. Project 1, the glass bottle border edging. Project 1, the border project that uses the most universally discarded household material and produces an edging that stops people in their tracks. Collect glass bottles, wine bottles, beer bottles, spirit bottles, olive oil bottles. Remove all labels with warm, soapy water. Rinse and dry thoroughly. Push each bottleneck down into the soil along the edge of any garden border at consistent intervals, buried deep enough that only the round base sits above soil level. Space them so adjacent bases touch or nearly touch, creating a continuous line of glass rounds along the full border edge. The design decision that determines the visual quality of the finished edging, color consistency. All green glass reads as warm and lush. All brown reads as earthy and rich. All clear scatters light in every direction. Mixed randomly reads as accidental. Mixed deliberately, alternating green and clear, or grouping colors in blocks of 5, reads as designed. In morning sun, green glass turns to deep emerald. In afternoon light, clear glass scatters brilliance across the surrounding soil. In rain, every bottle base reflects the sky above it. This is one of the oldest folk garden traditions in existence. It predates the garden center by centuries. In a contemporary garden, it reads as something a designer sourced specifically for the project. Budget 0. Project 2, the pallet compost bin. Project 2, the garden infrastructure project that costs nothing, builds in an afternoon, and produces the most valuable material any garden generates, finished compost. For reclaimed wooden pallets. Stand them on edge in a square formation, each pallet forming one wall of the bin. Fix adjacent pallets at the corners using zip ties looped through the pallet slats at top, middle, and base. 3 fixing points per corner joint. Leave one pallet unfixed on one side as the front panel. This lifts away when you need access to the finished compost at the base. Line the inside walls with flattened cardboard boxes to prevent compost from falling through the pallet gaps while still allowing air circulation through the structure. Leave the base completely open to bare soil. Direct contact with the ground is essential for the composting process. The microorganisms and worms that break down the material need to migrate upward from the soil below. Fill with alternating layers of green material, kitchen vegetable scraps, fresh grass clippings, soft green trimmings, and brown material, dried leaves, cardboard scraps, old newspaper, woody prunings. Roughly equal proportions of green and brown. Keep the contents consistently moist, but never waterlogged. Turn the pile monthly with a garden fork. Within 3 to 4 months, the lowest layer is finished compost, dark, crumbly, sweet-smelling, and more valuable to plant growth than almost any bag product sold at any garden center at any price. Budget 0. Project 3. Tin Can Punched Lanterns. Project 3. The outdoor lighting project that turns the most ordinary packaging material in any kitchen into garden lanterns of genuine warmth and character. Collect tin cans of varying sizes, food tins, coffee tins, large catering size tins. Fill each one with water and place in the freezer overnight until frozen solid. The ice prevents the tin from collapsing or denting as you work. Using a hammer and a sharp masonry nail, punch a deliberate pattern of holes through the side of each frozen tin. Work systematically. Plan your pattern before you begin punching. A simple geometric grid, a radiating sunburst, a constellation of dots at varying intervals. The ice holds the metal absolutely firm and produces clean round holes without collapsing the surrounding surface. Allow the ice to melt completely. Dry each tin thoroughly inside and out. Coat the interior with clear, waterproof spray sealant to prevent rusting from the inside outward. Apply exterior spray paint to the outside, matte black, aged bronze, deep forest green, into thin, even coats. Drop a battery-operated LED tea light or a standard tea light candle into each finished tin. At night, the light escapes through the punched pattern as pinpoints, projecting the pattern onto the surrounding ground, the table's surface, the nearby fence as a warm constellation of light dots. A grouping of 5 or 6 punched tin lanterns of varying sizes on a garden table or along a pathway edge at dusk costs nothing to make and creates an outdoor lighting display that reads as genuinely designed. Budget 0 for the tins. Spray paint optional. Project 4. The cardboard no-dig garden bed. Project 4. The garden bed method that uses the most universally available recycled material, cardboard, and produces growing conditions that improve measurably every single year. The no-dig lasagna bed requires no excavation, no rotavating, no breaking of ground. It is built entirely on top of whatever exists: grass, weeds, compacted soil, bare earth. Collect cardboard boxes. Remove all tape and staples. Flatten every box completely. Lay the cardboard across the intended bed area in overlapping layers, each sheet overlapping its neighbor by at least 6 inches. No gaps, no simpachis. Wet the cardboard layer thoroughly with a hose until completely saturated. Wet cardboard molds to the surface below it and stays in position rather than shifting. Over the cardboard, build the lasagna, alternating layers of brown material and green material, each layer 4 to 6 inches deep. Brown layers, dried leaves, straw, shredded newspaper, wood chip. Green layers, fresh grass clippings, kitchen vegetable scraps, garden trimmings. Finish with a 4-inch top layer of quality compost as the planting surface. Plant immediately into the compost layer. The cardboard below suppresses every weed in the area beneath it. The lasagna layers decompose together over the season, generating heat, building soil structure, and attracting worms in extraordinary density. By the following spring, the entire bed has transformed into some of the most productive growing soil achievable, and it has improved without a single hour of digging. Budget 0 for the cardboard. Compost for the top layer only. Project 5. The wine bottle torch. Project 5. The garden lighting idea that uses an empty wine bottle to produce outdoor torch lighting of genuine warmth and atmosphere. Take any empty glass wine bottle. Fill it 3/4 full with citronella lamp oil or standard clear lamp oil. Thread a cotton oil lamp wick through a metal wick holder, available from craft suppliers for under $1 each, and push the holder firmly into the neck of the bottle so the wick extends approximately 1 centimeter above the bottleneck. Allow the wick to absorb oil for a full 10 minutes before attempting to light it. Insufficient oil absorption is the reason most first attempts at this project fail. The wick lights and dies within seconds because no oil reservoir has been established in the cotton fibers. 10 minutes of soaking produces a sustained, consistent flame. Once lit, the flame burns steadily from the oil reservoir below, a warm, clean, continuous light source in whatever color glass the bottle provides. Green glass softens the light with warmth. Clear glass lets the flame read in full. Brown glass creates a deep amber glow. Group 3 to 5 wine bottle torches in varying glass colors on a garden table or along the edge of a pathway. The combined light at dusk creates an outdoor atmosphere that no purchased candle lantern replicates because the form is unexpected. A wine bottle is designed for drinking. A wine bottle with a flame is something else entirely. Extinguish by placing a metal bottle cap directly over the wick. The flame dies instantly. The residual oil lasts multiple evenings before refilling. Budget, under $1 per wick holder. Oil is the only ongoing cost. Project 6, the scaffold board raised bed. Project 6, the raised bed that looks more substantial and more professionally built than most purpose-made kits. Made from timber that was doing an entirely different job last month. Reclaimed scaffold board from a hire company, a demolition site, or a timber yard clearance are thick, dense, already weathered to a rich silver gray, and already treated to withstand prolonged outdoor exposure. These properties make them superior in almost every respect to the thin-walled timber used in most proprietary raised bed kits. Cut boards to the required lengths using a handsaw or circular saw. Fix adjacent boards at the corners using galvanized L brackets and exterior screws. 2 brackets per corner joint, 1 near the top edge and 1 near the base. 2 boards stacked give a wall height of approximately 40 centimeters, the ideal depth for most vegetables and deep-rooted perennials. Before filling, line the base with a double layer of flattened cardboard directly on the grass or soil below. The cardboard suppresses weeds through the first full growing season while decomposing harmlessly into the ground beneath. Fill with quality raised bed compost, mixed with a generous addition of garden compost from the pallet bin in Project 2. The combination of good compost and the depth of a double scaffold board gives any plant the conditions it needs to produce well. The aged scaffold board is aesthetic, rough-sawn, deeply textured, honestly weathered, works in every garden style, and improves visually every season it is left outdoors. Budget, $0 to $10 for reclaimed boards. 6 projects complete. 6 more to go. Coming up, the broken furniture project that produces the most characterful garden seat available at any price. In Project 12, the one I told you at the beginning that transforms a material every household produces every week into the most extraordinary garden feature on this list. Stay with me. Project 7, the tin can vertical herb garden. Project 7, the vertical kitchen garden that takes 0 floor space, uses 0 purchased materials, and provides fresh herbs at arm's reach from any outdoor cooking or eating area. Collect large tin cans, catering-sized tins from a restaurant, large coffee tins, institutional food cans from a school or workplace kitchen. Remove all labels. Pierce 5 or 6 drainage holes in the base of each tin using a hammer and nail. Apply 2 coats of exterior spray paint to the outside of each tin in a single consistent color. Matte black creates the most contemporary display. Terracotta reads as warm and organic. Sage green disappears beautifully against a planted backdrop. Fix the tins to a fence panel, a shed wall, or a timber board using exterior screws driven through the back of each tin. 1 screw through the back of the tin into the fixing surface, positioned near the top, so the tin hangs forward slightly and drainage can operate freely. Fill each tin with quality potting compost. Plant with individual herb varieties, 1 variety per tin. Basil, thyme, rosemary, oregano, mint, parsley, tsivesh. The display wall of herb tins, painted consistently, fixed in a deliberate arrangement at varying heights, reads as a designed kitchen garden installation. The individual tin forms, unified by paint color and arranged with compositional intention, produce the same effect as purpose-built wall planting systems sold at garden centers for $40 to $60. Budget, $0 for the tins. Paint optional. Project 8, the broken furniture garden seat. Project 8, the garden furniture project that costs nothing and produces the most characterful outdoor seat available at any price. The broken chair or stool, structurally compromised in 1 leg or joint but otherwise sound, that most people take to the dump becomes an extraordinary garden seat with 1 modification. Remove the broken component. Replace it with a section of timber cut to the same dimension from any offcut or reclaimed piece of wood. Fix with exterior screws and waterproof wood adhesive. Sand a replacement piece to match the profile of the originals if the difference in weathering is visually significant. Apply 2 coats of exterior wood paint in a color that suits the garden palette: deep garden green, chalky white, warm charcoal. Or, take the broken furniture concept further. A chair with a broken seat becomes a planter. Remove the seat entirely. Line the frame with landscape fabric. Fill with compost. Plant with trailing flowers that cascade through the frame opening. A broken ladder-back chair with the seat removed becomes a trellis. Lean it against a fence. Plant a climber at its base. Train the climber through the rungs. Each broken piece of furniture contains a garden feature waiting to be made. The decision required is simply which feature that specific piece of furniture is best suited to become. Budget 0. Project 9. The newspaper seed pot propagation system. Project 9. The propagation method that eliminates transplant shock, costs nothing, and produces more successful seedling establishment than any purpose-made propagation tray. Fold a double sheet of newspaper around a cylindrical former, a drinking glass, a tin can, a thick marker pen. Fold the base closed firmly. Slide the formed pot off the former. The folded base locks the structure without glue or staples. The pot holds its shape. Fill with seed compost. Sow 1 seed per pot. Water for below by setting the pots in a shallow tray and pouring water into the tray. The newspaper absorbs moisture upward through the base, delivering it to the compost evenly without disturbing the surface. When seedlings reach planting out size, plant the entire newspaper pot directly into the prepared ground. The newspaper decomposes completely within 2 to 3 weeks. The roots grow straight through it into the surrounding soil without interruption. 0 transplant shock because the root system is never disturbed. For plants that most consistently fail at the transplanting stage, sweet peas, courgettes, pumpkins, beans, nasturtiums, this technique removes the failure point entirely. It also removes the need to purchase, store, wash, and manage plastic seed trays. Make 30 in a single sitting. It takes 15 minutes and produces a full season's propagation system from a stack of old newspapers. Budget 0. Project 10. The reclaimed tile mosaic path. Project 10. The garden path that uses leftover tiles from every renovation project that has ever happened in your home and produces a walking surface that looks like a Mediterranean courtyard. Collect reclaimed ceramic or terracotta tiles, bathroom offcuts, kitchen floor remnants, broken garden tiles, mismatched singles from renovation projects. Any size, any color, any pattern. Break complete tiles into irregular pieces using the cloth and hammer technique. Place each tile inside a folded cloth and strike firmly with a hammer. The cloth contains the fragments and prevents injury from shards. Prepare a sand bed along the intended path. 2 inches of sharp sand raked level and compacted firmly. Arrange the tile pieces on the sand in a loose mosaic pattern, fitting irregular edges together like a puzzle, leaving consistent gaps of approximately 2 centimeters between pieces for grouting. When the arrangement is complete and every piece sits stable on the sand, brush dry mortar mix, 4 parts sand to 1 part cement, completely dry, across the entire surface. Work it into every gap between pieces using a stiff brush. Lightly mist the surface with water and allow the mortar to cure in the joints for 24 hours. Brush away any excess from the tile faces while still workable. The finished path carries the color variation, the pattern fragments, and the layered history of every tile it was made from. No 2 sections look alike. The result is what manufactured paving can never produce: a surface with genuine, irreducible individuality. Budget 0 for the tiles. Under $5 for dry mortar mix. Project 11. The pallet herb wall. Project 11. The wall garden that is simultaneously beautiful and productive, and built entirely from a material that most suppliers give away for free. Source a wooden pallet in good structural condition. No broken slats, no significant rot, sound corner blocks. Garden centers, hardware stores, furniture suppliers, And food wholesalers all receive stock on pallets regularly and pay to dispose of the empties. Ask. They will almost always say yes. Sand the entire surface lightly with coarse sandpaper to remove splinters and rough edges. Apply 2 coats of exterior wood stain in walnut, dark oak, or charcoal, using a brush to work the stain into every grain and crevice of the timber. Allow to dry fully between coats. Line the slats on the back face of the pallet with landscape fabric. Cut to width, stapled firmly at both edges of each slat channel to create individual planting pockets running the full width of the pallet. Fill each pocket with quality potting compost pressed firmly to eliminate air gaps. Plant through the slat openings on the front face, 1 or 2 herb plants per channel. Basil, thyme, rosemary, oregano, mint, parsley, tivesh, lemon balm. Lean the planted pallet against a fence or wall. Fix with 2 L brackets if permanent installation is required. The living wall delivers texture, fragrance, seasonal color, and practical kitchen garden access from a single fence panel. It takes 0 ground space. It changes every season as different herbs go in and out of growth. And every time a handful of fresh herbs goes into a meal, it came from something that cost nothing to build. Budget, 0 for the pallet. $15 for stain, fabric, and plants. Project 12, the newspaper and cardboard garden mosaic mural. Project 12, the last one. The one I told you at the beginning transforms the material every household produces in abundance every single week. Newspaper and cardboard, pulped, mixed with diluted PVA glue, and applied to an exterior-grade timber board. Create a papier-mâché surface of extraordinary versatility. That surface, once cured, sealed, and painted with exterior masonry paint, becomes one of the most characterful garden wall features achievable from any material at any price. Here is the process. Cut an exterior plywood board to the dimensions of the wall feature you want to create. A rectangle for a panel, a circle for a roundel, a silhouette shape cut with a jigsaw for a botanical or animal form. Prime both faces and all edges with exterior wood primer. Allow to cure. Tear newspaper and cardboard into small, irregular pieces, approximately 2 inches across. Mix PVA glue with water in a ratio of 3 parts PVA to 1 part water. Soak each paper piece in the diluted PVA and apply to the primed board surface in overlapping layers. Each piece pressed flat, each piece overlapping its neighbor by at least half its width. Build to 3 layers total across the entire surface. Allow each layer to dry completely before applying the next. Rush drying between layers produces bubbling and delamination. Once 3 full layers are complete and fully cured, at least 48 hours, apply a final coat of undiluted PVA over the entire surface as a sealing layer. Allow to cure for 24 hours. Now the creative work. Apply exterior masonry paint as a base color, warm white, deep charcoal, or terracotta. Once dry, apply the decorative layer. A simple botanical illustration painted freehand with exterior acrylic paint, a large leaf, a branch with berries, a single flower head, a geometric pattern, concentric circles, a grid of diamonds, a radiating sunburst, a text element, a house number, a garden word, a short phrase that means something to the person who made it. Seal the finished surface with 2 coats of exterior varnish rated for full outdoor exposure. Fix to a fence, a garden wall, or a shed exterior using appropriate exterior screws and wall plugs. What you have created is a permanent, weatherproof, entirely individual garden wall feature, made from newspaper, cardboard, glue, and paint. Materials that were going into the recycling bin this time last week. It carries the specific marks of the person who made it, the choices of color, of pattern, of what was painted and how. These marks are not imperfections. They're the quality that distinguishes something made by hand from something made by a machine. And that quality, the visible evidence of human decision-making in every brushstroke and every torn paper edge, is precisely what no garden centerpiece ever has and no amount of money can buy. Budget, 0 for newspaper and cardboard. Under $10 for PVA, paint, and varnish. 12 genius DIY garden projects using nothing but recycled materials. The glass bottle border edging. The pallet compost bin. Tin can punset lantern. The cardboard no-dig garden bed. The wine bottle torch. The scaffold board raised bed. The tin can vertical herb garden. The broken furniture garden seat. The newspaper seed pot propagation system. The reclaimed tile mosaic path. The pallet herb wall. And the newspaper and cardboard garden mural that turns this week's recycling into a permanent garden feature. Here is what I want from you right now. In the comments, tell me which project you're making first and what recycled material you're starting with. Not which one you like most, which one you're actually making this weekend. I will read every comment. I will reply to everyone with a specific practical tip for making your chosen project work first time. And share this with one person who throws things away too quickly. Because every item on this list started in a recycling bin. Everyone ended up in a garden. Next week on Daily Garden Fix, 12 DIY raised bed builds from scratch. Every material option, every budget level, every technique from beginner to advanced. Everything in one video. Subscribe. Hit the bell. I will see you there. Stop throwing it away. Start building with it.